As you can see, we're just waiting for the previous aircraft to take off. Welcome back to this new how-to. In this how-to, I will show you how to take off with the Boeing 787, which is currently located at runway 36 Lima from Schiphol Airport. There's the airplane. So let's go inside the airplane and let's take off. But before doing that, of course, we need to ask permission to the tower.
Schiphol Tower KLM 641 ready to go runway 36 left IFR to Nukovo. KLM 641 cleared for takeoff runway 36 left.
So we're gonna remove the parking brake.
Cleared for takeoff runway 36 left KLM 641.
Gonna turn. So this is a nice position. So I'm gonna set the parking brake. So one of the cool things about the it's A320, I would almost say, at the Boeing 767 is that you can switch on a special view, which allows you to, let's say, get a better view about the altitude, etc. So you don't have to look at the screens below, but you can use this view. So before taking off, what we are going to do is we're going to look at the map. You can see that we're not completely straight in the center of the runway, so we probably need to turn a bit more. So we need to be a bit careful about that. Flaps have not been set yet, so let's set the flaps to 15. And if we do that, when we would look outside the aircraft, so let's do that a bit. You would see that the flaps have changed. I'm going the incorrect way. So since nobody's there, right, so we can take our time. So you can see now flaps have been set, so that's all cool. Is there anything else we need to do? No, because the flight director is already switched on, so we're gonna go airborne. So let's do that. Before we take off, we press the letter B from Bravo to reset the altimeter to make sure that we're, I would say, ending up at the correct altitude, and then it's time to go. So gonna remove the parking brake, but first we're gonna, I would say, boost the engines a bit up to 50. Make sure that they are stabilizing, right? That's to do with the wind. If the wind blows in one side more than the other one, it could affect how your flight goes. I learned that during the A320 tutorial. As you can see, the flaps are set to 15 and the parking brake is currently set. So we're going to remove the parking brakes now, and then the aircraft will slowly start moving. So we're going to increase the speed a bit. So you can see on the left side of this nice display, you can see the speed. On the right side you can see the altitude. And you can see the aircraft already tries to take off. A little bit too early. So probably the 15 flaps was a little bit too much. But again, fine for now. So we're gonna increase the climb rate a bit.
KLM 641 contact Schiphol departure on 118.08.
So we're gonna move to departure.
118.08 for KLM 641.
And we're gonna insert the here.
KLM 641 is at 1,700 feet, climbing 13,000 feet.
KLM 641 Schiphol departure. Continue to Whiskey Sierra November as planned. Altimeter 30.39er.
So what you can see here is you can see the flight plan, right? So if you can select the map or plan, and then you will be able to figure out the plan which you need to fly. In the bottom box here, you can also switch to the route. So the route is here, but if you want to see the legs, you can select on legs, because this one was the first. And what we're going to do now is we're going to switch on the autopilot. You can do it by pressing this button and then using the LNAV. And the LNAV button is to follow the GPS signal and simply follow the flight plan. So currently we set the auto throttle also to make sure that we're not going too fast, because that's not something we want. As you can see, the aircraft continues to climb, so that's good. The other options are not needed for now, right? But we need them, I would say, once we're closer to the airport, to the destination airport. This for the vertical speed. As you can see, it's currently being set to vertical speed of 4,700. So it's making a pretty steep climb, although when looking at this it's not too steep, so that's good. Also keep in mind that you keep a close eye on the speed. So this is also funny to say, is here you can see the V1, the VR and the V2 speed which we configured, and here you can see the flaps, right? So if you're at flaps 15, then this is the maximum speed. Well, let's pull the flaps in a bit. For example 10, so you will see that now this has automatically been changed to 10.5, and will continue to do that until flaps are set to neutral, which you would normally do once you're above 10,000 feet, if I'm correct. In the meantime, we can look at the map. You can switch on the other options right here by pressing menu. You can switch on the waypoints, the airports, and some other data if you want. And if you press this menu, it looks a little bit different. For example, you can switch on the W X-ray Romeo, which switches on the weather, or you can switch to the terrain. Weather is also nice. Switch.
Going to 119.175 KLM 641. Amsterdam Center KLM 641 is at 9,300 feet, climbing 13,000 feet.
KLM 1121, please expedite your descent to 10,000 feet.
So it looks like
KLM 641 Amsterdam Center, continue to Whiskey Sierra November as planned. Altimeter 30.39er.
it looks like that the air traffic control changed, right? Because initially it said 13,000 feet, now it says 10,000 feet, so we're following their recommendations. I'm gonna acknowledge, and then we can switch.
KLM 641. Schiphol departure KLM 641 is at 10,000 feet, climbing 13,000 feet.
KLM 641 Schiphol departure, continue to Whiskey Sierra November as planned. Altimeter 30.39er.
So you see that we also have some options here, right? So from this side we can also switch on the weather on or off, or the TCAS on or off, or the terrain on or off. So that I would say are options which are both available in the menu, but also here. We can switch on certain options of the engine using this button. And now we've got some other options like, okay, hey, we can check the view. We can go to the other menus, which are not all working, as you can see. We can go to the communication, to the checklist. Checklist is also not working. The info, CDU.
Please expedite your climb to 13,000 feet.
Looks like that they changed again. Ooh, 13, not too much. So sometimes the
KLM 641, contact Amsterdam Center on 119.175.
so I'm gonna switch.
119.175 for KLM 641.
So if you see that the aircraft doesn't start climbing, then use the vertical speed and then simply, other way around, change the values like here. So we set to 1500. So in the meantime, once it's, I would say at altitude, we will decrease the flaps again.
Amsterdam Center KLM 641 is climbing through 10,100 feet for 13,000 feet.
KLM 641 Amsterdam Center, continue to Whiskey Sierra November as planned. Altimeter 30.39er.
So as you can see, flaps are currently set to 10. The altimeter, which is referred to here, is also set correct. And we're currently going to 11,000 feet, so we're almost at the desired altitude, but probably they will instruct us to go to a higher altitude since we're using the high altitude flight routes. So it's not recommended to retract the flaps when you're climbing, because in that case what you will see is that the aircraft will, I would say, fall down a bit. Now we'll also bypass the 10,000 feet. You can also start switching off some of the lights. For example, you can switch off the landing lights, runway lights, and a taxi. The other ones you can leave them on. It's in this case it might be a good idea to also switch on the anti-icing. As you can see, the Boeing 767 has both the auto or on option. Auto will simply, as simple as it already tells you, switch on the anti-icing automatically if needed, and also we're forcing them to enable it. And as you can see, it's good that we did that, because you can already see some icing on the engines. And if you switch on the realistic options, then it could even result in that you're crashing, right? So
KLM 1121, you are 400 feet above your assigned altitude.
So we're going to the next one, 270. But before doing that, we're gonna decrease the flaps
Descend and maintain 10,000 feet KLM
to
1121.
0, and then we're gonna
Climb and
confirm
maintain flight level 270
our new flight
KLM
level.
641.
You see that the I'm moving this window a little bit up. You can see that it tries to stay around that 200, right? Because that's what we set up here. So if you want to increase, you can change this button. But for now, I think it's okay. We don't need to go a lot faster than this because we're still climbing. Or are we not? Interesting. In some cases, when the nose is frozen, it will also result in this behavior. So let's make sure that we're still climbing. Of course, we need to switch on the. We need to.
KLM 641, please expedite your climb to flight level 270.
See, HC is not happy with us because we're not following the climb rate they want us to do. So we just did that. So make sure that you keep an eye on the speed, right? Because although you set it to automatically speed, you sometimes go too fast, so you need to decrease the angle of altitude increase. So keep an eye on this one. So it is also a nice moment where we can, I would say, end the flight. As you can see, engine is still a little bit frozen, but it will go away slowly, so that's good. I hope you liked this video. In this video we discussed how you can, let's say, take off from a runway using a Boeing 767. In the next video I will show you how you can prepare for the approach and do the final landing, in this case at Moscow airport. Hope you liked the video. If you liked it, then consider use the like button. If you've got questions or comments, then use the comment box below the video. And if you would stay up to date about new videos being posted, then consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching and see you next time.